Okay, so for this assignment, we're going to be talking about the agents of socialization. So mostly specifically, family, peer groups, school, workplace, religion, government, and mass media. It's going to kind of be talking about like how these things kind of define like your understanding of the world, beliefs and values, your norms, and like your social network and things like that, and how they can really like influence you. We're also going to be like discussing a little bit of the Cooley and Mead's ideas regarding the development of the self. So if you go back here in the chapter, it kind of discusses it a little, just to give a quick preview. It talks about how Mead studied the self, a person's distinct identity that is developed through the social interaction. In order to engage in this process of self, an individual has to be able to view him or herself through the eyes of others. And I feel like that was really important to read because it is very huge when talking about all these different things. Another thing that is stated here is Charles Cooley. He has asserted that people's self-understanding is constructed in part by their perception of how others view them, a process termed the looking glass self. I absolutely love that. And again, that kind of like goes into what we're about to discuss. The first question that we're going to look at, just going to go back here, is how do these agents of socialization shape your understanding of the world? So we're going to go ahead and go to our PowerPoint. The first thing we're going to look at is peers. I kind of felt like youth group and things like that. I don't know if you can really see. There we go. I wanted to put this picture because it kind of like just shows like my whole youth group and things like that on one of our youth group trips. But I feel like it's really like beneficial because, especially for peer wise, because it kind of goes into like who you surround yourself with. You surrounding yourself is going to answer a lot of those questions that we just stated. Because if you surround yourself with the wrong people, then it's going to change your mentality and your outlook on others and things like that. However, if you surround yourself with the right people, it's going to help you, it's going to build you up, and it's going to better you as a person, in my opinion. However, the question does state like how does this change like your understanding of the world? Really, I mean, this kind of goes into like a religious point of view, and it kind of goes into the religion question that is coming up. Ever since like I was at a young age, I have been in church and I have believed in God, and religion has been a big thing for me. So that can kind of go into family as well. We're going to go to this slide too. So I did include a picture of my family. Yeah, my PowerPoints didn't have much text, but that's why I wanted to fully explain these. My family has always been church people. Ever since I was little, I can remember being in church. I feel like that is why I have the beliefs I do today. That was another question stated on the assignment was, how did they shape your beliefs and values? My grandfather, the one in the middle, he always took his kids, which are these two, to church every single day. And because of that, I feel like it just kind of was a chain and things like that. However, once you get to a certain age, religion becomes your own responsibility. Religion becomes something that you need to learn about and you need to decide for yourself, I should say. However, I do feel like family does have a big influence on that and what you do believe. Another question we're going to look at are, what terms did you internalize from these agents? I feel like that kind of goes back into family as well. Because family does teach you a lot, and it's kind of like the way that they bring you up is kind of like, I feel like how most people are shaped into the person that they are. I know growing up, like, I've always had a good family. A second ago, I did say that these two were his kid. However, that one's his kid. That one's my mom. But anyways, I've always had a good family, until about 3 years ago when, my parents got divorced, because one of the reasons was my grandfather passed away, and it was a lot of pressure on the family and things like that. I'm sorry, I'm kind of skipping around, but it kind of goes into the question, how do these agents of socialization influence what activities you pursued and status? If you go back to the family, I'm sorry I'm referring to this a lot, but I feel like these questions are kind of all intertwined. Okay, so because of my parents getting divorced, a lot of stuff happened. My dad moved away, my mom moved away, my brother was already married with his wife that is pictured. And because of that, I was kind of like left by myself. Growing up, I always loved kids, and that's why I kind of show here in my PowerPoint my workplace. I do have consent forms for picturing these students. However, I've always loved kids, so I was volunteering at Montessori's. I was until I was old enough to be a teacher at one of them. I taught 2 and 3 year olds, and then I also taught after school. This kind of like deepened my passion for students, and I knew that I would want to become a teacher. And because of my family issues and things like that, I decided I was going to further my education at Eastern Kentucky University. And then once I got there, I fell in love with their education program. And I feel like kind of everything happens for a reason, because if it wasn't for all of this and all the lessons that I learned through that struggle, that I wouldn't be where I am today. Something else I want to talk about is kind of like going back to those statements that we talked about earlier in the videos, about the perception of how others view them. I really think that peers, and this is also my softball team, they were my closest friends during high school. A lot of us played with each other for at least 4 or 5 years at least. So we kind of like grew up together. But between like my best friends here and then my youth group and my other peers that I mentioned here, I feel like, again, kind of like what I said earlier, who you surround yourself with kind of really goes hand in hand with that. We're all human. We all worry about how others view us, whether it's something about our appearance or something about maybe like what we said or what we didn't say kind of thing. However, that's why you need to surround yourself with the right people. That way you don't really have to worry about that as much, and that's what I always kind of try to do. At a young age, whenever I was a freshman, I really got into church and really got into my youth group, and I feel like that kind of helped me all throughout high school. I also didn't put a picture of my school in here. This is my whole class right here when we were on one of our trips. I feel like that also influenced me. I'm from a small high school. As you can see, like I said, this is my whole class. We only had a graduating class of 69 students, and that's all of our students graduated. None of them failed or anything like that. That was just our total number. I feel like this also kind of reflected on the question. Let me go back to it. The question stated, which one was it? What norms did you internalize? Because honestly, we were a small school. Our school only probably consisted of 400 to 500 students all together. Our high school did. So we were a very small school. Everybody kind of like knew each other. And I'm also from a small town. We aren't very big at all. It's from Hazard, Kentucky. So everybody, like I said, everybody kind of knew each other. And I feel like this kind of created a norm for me. I'm used to a smaller setting. I'm used to walking by and seeing somebody I know every 2 seconds kind of thing. And I feel like this was a huge impact because of it. But kind of going back to the quotes that we read earlier, because of this and us being so small, it really created a norm that you don't really have to worry about what others think about you, because you're you. I've always been from a small school, so we always had each other's back, and we're all family. I know everybody says that, but when you're from this small of a school, then you're family.